And I'm going to count down from 3, 2, 1. We're live. Hello, everyone. It's Tuesday afternoon. It's Tuesday at some time, wherever you are. Today, I want to talk about this one thing. It's one thing that I think is so important when we're trying to get our message out, when we're trying to get any kind of communication across into the world, when we're trying to build a movement, whether we're trying to start a revolution. Whatever it is that we're doing, the thing that we're doing, the thing that has the most meaning for us, this is the thing that either you either get this and you succeed, or you don't get it, and whatever you're trying to do will not actually work. So what am I talking about? Today, we are covering the topic, how do you inspire people on video? And of course, whatever we're talking about in terms of on video, this all works for how do you inspire people with any kind of communication that you're doing. I'm focusing on video and particularly live video because this is the medium that we have now that gives us the greatest access with the least amount of effort to get our word out, to talk to the people who we want to serve. So imagine, that the reason that I'm talking about this today is that when people talk about marketing, when they talk about how to do particularly online marketing, there's traditional wisdom. And the traditional wisdom is, okay, you've got to build a funnel and you've got to reach out to people who never heard of you and people who are complete strangers. And you want to do that to huge, large numbers of people. And I'm just saying, there are people here. You're here. Say you're here. Say that you are here, because I want to know that you're here. And if you are listening to what I have to say, and something occurs to you, you get an insight. You get some kind of, light bulb goes off in your brain. So in the comments down below, wherever you are, use the light bulb emoji and then write in what that insight is. That really helps me know that I'm on the right beam. So anyway, I'd like to see who you are, where you're from, that kind of thing. Go ahead and say so. You've got a question about any of the things that I'm talking about today, throw it up and I will come back to you and answer the question. So here's the thing. There's this traditional way of doing funnels. And so you reach out to cold traffic, you reach out to complete strangers, and you try to bring them into your realm. You try to bring them into your realm in great numbers. And you try and turn those people into ultimately to become, superfans and brand evangelists. And because the world is becoming increasingly savvy, a lot of these techniques just don't really work that well anymore. And people are, mostly sitting there with their arms crossed and they're going, I don't think so. They've developed this thick shield of armor. And so a lot of the normal ways in terms of online marketing that have worked in the past aren't working very well. And because of that, it can get really expensive or it can take a lot of time and effort or both. So you could be spending day after day posting on social media, writing your blog posts, sending out your email newsletter, doing live videos, all this stuff, giving value, sharing information, trying to meet people, like trying to get strangers, people who have never heard of you. You're getting yourself out in front of brand new people who have never heard of you, and you're trying to persuade them into becoming fans of yours, into becoming brand evangelists, that kind of thing. And I want to propose today, what I'm going to talk about is basically the inverse of that, the opposite of that. How can you do this, with the least amount of effort, without it taking so much time, and certainly without it costing a ton of money in paid advertising or paid traffic or anything like that? So if you're interested in this, and you have an idea of what the answer might be, say so in the comments. I want to see who's here. Steven's here. Hello, Steven. Good to see you. Where are you from? Where are you watching from? Looks like you're on Facebook. Facebook land. So I'm actually going out multicasting. This is something that I truly believe in. I doing a live video, and I'm actually going live onto Facebook and onto LinkedIn and onto YouTube. And I really like this way of doing things with video production, because I have people who follow me on Facebook, and I have other people who I connect with on LinkedIn. And I have a whole nother separate group of people who I've connected to over on YouTube. My YouTube channel now has almost 3,000 subscribers. Think of that. It's so cool. So, all these different people, I can go live, and using this multicasting tool, I can bring all of you together in the same room, the same virtual space, and we can all be meeting. So someone who's on YouTube can be talking to someone who is over on Facebook. And you don't have to leave your favorite platform to do that. I don't have to coax you into coming to another place. I can reach you in the place that you are. So back to the topic. How do we do this thing? And we do it in an efficient way so that people are, showing up and coming across, and they're motivated to basically be with us. And how can we do that? That is the inverse of what the traditional online marketing techniques are. And the simple answer, the one word answer is to be an inspiration. You want to learn how to be inspiring. That's part number one. Part number two is that if you are truly inspiring, if you truly are doing something that when people see what you stand for, what you believe in, and you're talking about things that not only matter to you, but matter to the group of people who you're talking to, they're going to be moved by that. There's going to be this emotional content that they will be moved by what it is that you're having this conversation about. And they're going to be much more likely to be so inspired that they're going to want to take action. They're going to want to move forward along with you. And the people who are most likely to be inspired by you are the people who are in your current network. They are your current followers. They're their current friends on Facebook. They are the current people that you're connected with on LinkedIn. They're the current people who are, your colleagues. That group of people, however big or small that is, this is the group that you want to talk to. And all of us, every one of us, has the ability to talk to this group that we are currently already connected to. And if we can, go over the hurdle of when we speak to them in an inspiring way, that we are truly inspiring and motivational. This is where we start winning the game. Because when people hear you and then they go, oh my gosh, I'm inspired. This is amazing. The light bulb goes off, boom. And they want to do something. And then you give them this, okay, here's what to do. Here's the steps to take. Not only will they do it, but then they'll go out and they'll start reaching out to their friends, and they'll bring their friends along. So imagine that you're able to talk to, let's say, 100 people, just 100 people. And that group of people who are in your current, these are people who you're already currently connected with. And you speak to those 100 people and you get them inspired. You tell them what you stand for. You say what you believe in. You give them the direction of where you're going. You tell them what your mission is. You say, look, this is the pennant that I'm sticking in the ground, and this is what we're going to do together. This is what I'm after. Who wants to join me on this quest? And they start going, yeah, I want to do this. They see the value, the benefit, and they're inspired. They're inspired to be one of the people who goes there with you, who wants to be on this journey that you're taking them on. So when you do that, when that happens, not only will they come with you, not only will they hang in there all along the way, but they will start bringing other people. And when that happens, when they start bringing other people, you're done. You win the game. More people can start coming. You are using your current audience to reach out and grow to people who you don't know, but who are associated and friends of the people who you do know. And as that keeps growing and snowballing, this is like the complete inverse of the traditional funnel, so that you are no longer talking directly to people who are complete strangers. You are talking to people who you know, and the people who you know have referred to you. Those people, all those referrals. Right. Oh, look, Steven's from Maryland. Wow, cool. Awesome. I bet you don't have as much snow in Maryland as we do here in Boston. That's my guess. All right. So, okay. There's my introduction. That's what we're talking about today. Now, the question is, of course, how do you do it? How do you become that inspiration? What are the steps to take? And I'm going to walk you through four steps, 4 levels of how to be inspirational. And I've got them all here on my handy iPad. So, oops, wait, got to go back over here. So the very first step is that you want to, and I've already touched on this, you want to say things that matter. You want to, when you come to the marketplace, you want to say something that matters to your audience. And that can be something that's personal. It could be a personal thing, or it could be just one of the values, one of the things that you believe in. And this part why I like live video, because when you're doing a live video, you can have more of a back and forth conversation, which means that you can learn what matters to your audience just by simply talking to them and saying, hey, does this matter to you? Okay, I'm going to have a sip of my smoothie here. So one important technique of doing video is that you want to keep yourself hydrated. Keeps your voice going, keeps your throat clear. You want to breathe clearly, all that stuff. And so I always have some kind of liquid. This is particularly good because this is a super healthy green smoothie. So it's hydrating, it's giving me energy, and now I can show up for you guys in a much better way. Something that matters. Part of how you can do that, and how do you, like, instead of just, standing on a soapbox and saying stuff, is that you can tell story. And this is really key. People will connect with you. They will feel more inspired. They'll feel more of an emotional connection if you are telling a story that has those elements. And when you think about, well, what kind of story should I be telling? Well, you can tell a personal story. You can tell a story about a friend. You can tell a story about a client. You can tell a story about a colleague. You can tell a story that came from a book you read. You can tell a story from a popular movie that a lot of people know about. And usually when you tell a story, it becomes universal. People will hear the story and they will go, oh my gosh, I know this whole story. And as they're relating to the elements in the story, they're going to relate to you in a much stronger and more powerful way. So when you're thinking of, well, I don't have any stories. I don't know what stories to tell. I don't even know, if my stories are any good. And so I'm just going to say a couple of things here about that. I'm not going to go deep into all this whole of like, how do you do storytelling well, but I'm going to cue up that On Thursday, on my regular live stream show on Thursday, which is Thursday at 3 Eastern time, I am going to help you. I'm going to go through a little exercise that will help you generate more stories so that when you use this exercise, you are going to be able to get a ton of stories. Like, you will have so many stories, you won't be able to tell them all. And they'll be good stories. So join me Thursday and we'll go deep into this whole thing of like, well, if you have this question of like, I don't know what stories to tell, or I don't think I have any stories, or I don't think I'm a very good storyteller, join me Thursday at 3 Eastern time, and we will work on that. And you will walk away with this gift of being able to come up with stories for the rest of your life so that you will never, ever run out of stories and good anecdotes to tell. And the other thing that I'm going to say is that on Saturday, I am leading a masterclass, which is a whole separate thing. This is going to be a private masterclass. You have to register for it. And on this masterclass, I am going to call this be inspiring, tell good stories. But how do you do that so that you actually can sell? Like, how do you tell stories to sell? How do you do storytelling that actually helps people come and work with you or buy your product or invest in the service that you provide? So that's going to happen on Saturday, and it's going to be Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern time, and that is coming soon. And I put a link if you're on YouTube or on other things. If you're interested in that workshop, just say storytelling or say I want the workshop in the comments, and I'll get back to you and give you the link for that workshop. In fact, I think I put it in the chat. So yes, it is. So if you just look in the chat here, actually it's on YouTube. It's here. So what else? Oh, I can put it on the screen. Look at that. Watch this. There it is right there. So join the masterclass. It's awesomevideomakers.com/tell stories that sell with a hyphen in between each of those words. So tell hyphen stories hyphen that hyphen sell. But you can see that on the screen. And this is coming up on Saturday. And if you are not wanting to write this whole thing down, just comment. I'll get back to you and do the link. So there we are. Right. So back to saying something that matters. The second thing I want to say about this part is that you're talking about story. How does my story work? I'm going to give you one key way to structure your story. Like we were all told, and I'm sure you've heard this before, every good story has a beginning and a middle and an end. And that's when you're telling a story, you want to have a story that has a beginning and a middle and an end. And I came across this great author who kind of shifted that a little bit, because truthfully, the kind of stories that you want to collect and the kind of stories you want to tell, if you truly want to be inspiring, if you want to bring people along with you, if you want to say things to people so that they'll be moved to take action, what you want to do is you want to have a story that has the beginning, which is kind of the normal. You want to describe the world as it is, and even describe like, well, what are the problems? What are the challenges? What are the deals? And there has to be some sort of challenge and conflict in that in the beginning. So the normal is, here's the normal, and here's what we're dealing with. There's some challenge and there's some problem here, and we need to deal with that problem. And maybe there's conflict. You know, stories where everything is nice and rainbows and unicorns, those are not very interesting stories, nor are they inspirational. So there has to be something going on. Second part is an explosion. So normal, explosion, something huge happens that's transformational. The character, the hero in the story has some big explosion, some big event that occurs, and they are changed by that event. This is key. A change has happened. And then you have the new normal. At the end of your story, you have the new normal, and you want to describe, okay, so now we're in the new normal, and this is what the world looks like now. Now that the transformation has happened, here are the possibilities. Here are the opportunities. Here is what is possible. And so when you're telling stories and they have those three elements, the normal, the explosion, and the new normal, if that structure is in your story, people will be moved. And that's sort of when you're thinking about, okay, well, what could I talk about that has that as part of it? That's the kind of thing that you can focus on. So that were one. Number two, you want to, when you're talking, get your audience to the end. It's one thing to get their attention. It's one thing to get them in, hook them in the beginning. You also do something that brings them all the way to the end. And you want to make them feeling like, okay, there's something going on here. There's something worth it for me to stay. And I'll bet that you have heard many TED Talks. And these TED Talks often are actually fairly inspiring, and they also have really good information. However, usually those TED Talks are missing something, because when people are at the end of the TED Talk, they're not like, there's no next step. There's nothing else to do. Like, okay, so I heard this great thing. Now I have some really cool information, but now what do I do? So you want to really help people. You want to get them to the end, and you want to tell them, okay, so here's what's going on. Here's what we can do together. Here's how to do it. And here's what that step can be. And really lay it out for them. Right. Now, the other thing that you can do, this is number 3, is you want to tell a story that has a relatable moment in it. And so something that people can relate to. What I mean by this is that if you had an event in your life where you had this terrible car accident and, a 16 car pileup that well, that's cool. Like, it's a really cool story, but it's not actually very relatable. Like, I didn't have a 16 car accident and hardly anybody else has either. So even though it sounds like that kind of story might be super exciting, it's not really the thing. Like, nobody can connect with that. So, a much more relatable subject could be, when something going to happen to you when you're standing in line at Starbucks, or something that happened to you when, like in my case, when you're out shoveling snow off of your car. And all the people who are living all the way between Boston and Texas can relate right now to snow and the struggles around snow. And so if I had an adventure around my pipes bursting, I can talk about that and bring it into a story. And if I had some kind of transformational thing happen as a result of what happened around my pipes bursting, then a lot of people can relate to that, especially right now in this moment. For me, and I'll just give you a little example of this, what I really like about when it snows and the fact that we have to go out and shovel snow is that there's this really interesting thing that happens because everybody has to do it. So, in our world, we live in, places that are like, if you're in a suburb, you've got all these houses next together, and you often don't see your neighbors, especially at this time of year, because it's too cold. Nobody's outside walking around. Everybody just drives around in their car, and you have no chance to bump into or interact with your neighbors. And people pretty much, for the most part, ignore each other. However, what I've noticed, and what I've noticed just in the last week where we had a lot of snow, is that I was outside and I'm brushing off snow off my car, and I'm using my ice scraper and I'm scraping the windows, and there's, 1.5 foot of snow all around my car that I have to shovel with. Well, there's like 4 or 5 other people out in the parking lot next to the building where I live, and we're all doing the same thing. And you know what? All of a sudden, we start helping each other out. So all of us go over to one car and we shovel it out. And then all of us go over to the next car and we shovel out that car. And then all of us go over to this car number 3 and we get all that car all shoveled out. So, it's kind of amazing. And we get a chance to talk. And instead of being, grumble, I'm here shoveling snow, I hate shoveling snow, we're actually having this nice social interaction, and we all feel good because we're actually helping each other out. And we're also feeling good because these folks who are neighbors are helping you out. They're helping me out. Isn't that great? So this is just an opportunity where I'm going, oh my gosh, like something that I used to not look forward to, something that I used to think about in a very negative way, like, oh gosh, I have to go shovel snow. Now I've completely turned around and I'm thinking about it as a very positive thing that can happen between me and the other people who live near me. So there's just a simple little story that I've just related that has that relatable element to it. All right, so last element, step number 4 in all of this. The question you want to ask is, what's going to be different for your audience after they watch your video, after you tell your story? What's going to be different for them? You really want to have them, you literally want to have them say in the comments, oh man, this has really helped me. And if this is true for you, go ahead and say that in the comments. I mean, I got this I'm going to share this with you right now. I got this really great, see if I can find it quickly. I got a great email just a couple days ago that came from, just a second here. I know, let's see if I can go far enough back here. I get so many emails. Let's see, I have to go here. And here we go. So this woman named Cheryl wrote to me and she said, Brad, I really appreciate your emails. I listen to you every day. I'm memorizing your experience. It's invaluable. Your wisdom is just the icing on the cake. Your delivery is super. And she says, I'm trying to find my voice and you're coming at the right time. And she says, best wishes. So this is the kind of thing that when you're doing this in the way that is truly inspirational, doing this way that's inspiring to someone, this is what happens. Like, you're going to get response like this where people are moved by what you're saying. They're getting moved by what you're talking about. They're feeling gratitude and appreciation, just like we were all feeling gratitude and appreciation when the group of us were, helping to shovel out our cars. Like, this is what's going to happen. And you are connecting with your immediate audience in a very powerful way that is moving them to take action. And of course, one of the actions that they can take is to start bringing their friends, to start telling people about what you're up to and what you're doing and how it can help them. So if one of the things that I'm helping people do, if I'm helping unheard entrepreneurs find their voice and get their message out in a more powerful way, and to actually become a true inspiration for the people that they want to serve. If that's my mission, and I'm having people actually succeed in that effort, well, great, because those people are going to be the ones who bring new people. You are the ones who are going to reach out and say, oh, I have developed in this way and some really cool stuff is happening and you should really check this out. You should join us. You should come in and join us. So that was the 4th step. And I'm going to go back over here. I'm looking at the chat again. You've got a insight here. Go ahead and say so. If any of this is resonating with you, I'd like to hear about it. And take that right off of there. So a couple of little follow-ups here. One is that upcoming this week, I'm really focusing on this whole using story as a point of inspiration, helping you figure out, okay, so how do I get over the hurdle of finding the stories that are my stories to tell. And if you're interested in that, join me on Thursday at 3 p.m. I'm going live. PM East. I'm here on your channel of choice. I'll be going live on Facebook, YouTube, and on LinkedIn. And if you want to like join in on this, bus that I'm on, go ahead and go find me on YouTube. Find me on YouTube, it's Brad Powell Video. Here we go. Put that right here. And you just go to YouTube and in the search, type in Brad Powell Video. You will find my channel. If you subscribe to the channel and then you hit that little notification bell, you will always get a notification of when I'm going live. And so you won't miss these kinds of live events. And Saturday, I'm doing a special masterclass. This is my masterclass of the month. This is February's masterclass. I try and do one of these every month. And this one is all about how to tell stories that sell. Because all of this kind of content marketing, the mistake I see people make is they're giving value all the time, but they're not doing the one thing that they need to do to get people to buy, to move people from the I'm just watching or I'm just listening to now I'm ready to buy. And so I have a very simple formula, another 4 steps, only even simpler than what I talked about today. 4 simple steps, structuring your story so that it will sell. And you're doing this in a way that you're not actually selling. It's not salesy, it's not pushy, it's not any of that stuff. It's just getting people inspired and moving the direction of like, okay, so now I'm ready. I'm sold. So join me on Saturday. That's at 1 p.m. And if you're interested in that, I put the comment up already. So that link, let's see, if I hide all this. And, oh, interesting. I guess, well, somehow I took it off, so it's not there. So anyway, if you're interested in that, just say so in the comment below. I will get back to you. Say storytelling. I want to know how to, stories to sell. I want the workshop. Put that in the comments. I will send you the link. And last but not least, one other thing that I want to talk about is that I am launching an up-leveled version of my video podcast. If I point to it here, it's here. The live stream show. It's hard to do this. There we go. The live stream show is my new moniker for my regular weekly video podcast. And what I'm doing is I want to make it into more of a show, and I wanted to make it more inclusive and participatory with all of you guys. So what's going to happen is that every week I'm going to have a special guest who will be joining me as a co-host. And each time I do this, every week, each co-host, I'm hoping, will join me. We're going to have a season that will last for 12 weeks. So season 1 lasts for 12 weeks. And each co-host will join me for 3 times, once a month for 3 months. So 1 week, it'll be co-host number 1. Week number 2, it'll be co-host number 2. And then co-host number 3, co-host number 4, and then that's going to repeat. So you will get to know these co-hosts over the 12 weeks. And each one has their own specialty. And what we're going to do is we're going to solicit. We're going to pick a topic, pick something for you guys who are so creative, to do in the form of your creation. So we're going to want you to make a video. We're going to maybe pull a video you've already made. We're going to ask you to tell a story. We're going to ask you to do any number of things. And it'll be simple. It'll be short. And you can submit those things. And then each episode, we'll pull them up and we will review them. We'll critique them, and we'll critique them in a very positive way. We'll say, oh, this is really cool. Have you ever thought of doing this? And so if you want to hone your craft, if you want to get better at getting your message out, if you want to get better at inspiring people, if you want to get better at your communication, if you want to get better at being engaging, if you want to get better at doing video, live video, to getting your lighting, to any of that stuff, like all these things, then stay tuned for the upcoming first season of the live stream show. That's coming soon. And that's what I have for you today. Great to see you all here. And I will see you Thursday at 3 Eastern time. So long, everyone.